welcome to yet another episode of Pet Pals. As always, I'm Bethany Davidson, the humane educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. And animal wrangling for us is our volunteer coordinator, Sean Snyder. And it looks like our first guest is making things a little bit easier for you today. This is Kitty, and Kitty's straight off the bat displaying one of the reasons that I like him and why I can't understand why he hasn't found a forever home yet. Kitty is about 1 year old. He did come to us previously owned, so he was already named Kitty. And he is just an incredibly friendly, confident cat. He comes right up to the front of his cage. He's never met a stranger. He's right there, wants affection. He's not like annoyingly so, like some of the kittens that are just like pulling your hair and, trying to get your attention. He's just like, hey, I'm here. What's up? He never tries to get out of his cage. He's just a really sweet guy. And I do see a fair amount of volunteers spending a lot of time with him because they enjoy it. And most people are really looking for that lap cat. And he's clearly showing us that that's what he's all about. But because it is kitten season, Kitty and a lot of those other young adult cats are getting overlooked, and definitely the senior cats are getting overlooked. And we talk about it all the time on the show. One of the great things about cats in this age range is that you do get a little bit more of an indicator on what they're going to be like in a home. Their personalities are a little bit more set and defined. You're not getting that crazy kitten energy. Now, can he be playful and curious? Yes, he's like looking, he can hear the fan blowing from the AC and he's looking around and he wants to see what it is, but it's not like, oh, I have to chase that right now. So he doesn't have that kind of frantic kitten energy. And he's going to make someone a great addition to their family.
So in some of his photos, he's wearing a cone.
Yes.
Why was he wearing a cone?
So he was wearing a strawberry. He definitely rocked it. He could pull it off. And he was doing that because he came in with some flea dermatitis. A lot of people who have indoor only cats, which is what we're looking to adopt out, don't always do flea and tick preventative. But for Kitty, it's going to be really important because he is allergic to those fleas. And so he had all of these little scabs and things because he was scratching and itching and biting at those places because it was uncomfortable. And as a result, he started to develop some bigger things. So they were putting that cone on him so that he couldn't lick and bite at that so that it could heal nicely. And he did wear that for several weeks. But I think this week he was released from his cone of shame, and just to prove how good a temperament he has. A lot of the cats try to get those cones off. They're more frustrated. And he was just like, I'm wearing a strawberry. He was just really cool and didn't seem to mind. And even now he's readjusted to get a little bit more comfortable, but still hasn't tried to run away. I think we haven't had a cat this comfortable on the show and I don't even know how long. So if you want this guy to be cozying up with you on your couch, he's probably still going to be here because, again, people are going for those kittens. So don't miss your opportunity. So go to visit fcac.as.me to start that process. Our next guest is about the same size as Kitty, but definitely a little bit more energetic. Things you can't tell just by looking at her. This is a senior dog, ladies and gentlemen. We have Beverly listed as about 8 to 10 years old, but she is spry and full of life and definitely a fun little dog. I think it's not a secret that I generally prefer larger dogs. But I actually really like Beverly because she has like a big dog attitude. The other day she tried to stick 2 tennis balls in her mouth like she was some Labrador retriever. She's like, no, I got this. She's super fun. She's very playful. She's also very affectionate once she works out a little bit of that energy. And because it's been so warm, we have all of our pool things out. And the first day they kind of put her in there and now she's like, oh, this is a thing. And she gets in the pool and she chases her balls and she splashes around and she really enjoys that too. So I think that is part of like the big dog spirit. She's going to like want to go out on the lake with you or, hang out in the boat in her little life jacket. Like I can see all of those things for Beverly. And she's also very dog friendly, which means that she's going to be able to go on a lot more adventures with you. We do have a fair amount of dogs that are dog selective, to put it mildly, but she seems to be definitely a friend to every human and dog that she meets, which is going to make her highly adoptable. And we don't have any restrictions on her either, which is why it's interesting that no one has even really asked to see her yet.
Yeah. So she has one toy she can't resist. Can you tell us about that?
So that's the good old trusty tennis ball, which we talked about. She will do anything for that tennis ball. When they were processing her, she was chasing it all over the place, jumping up for it, kind of like she's doing right now. And I came prepared with a second tennis ball. Beverly. She really loves them, and it's a good way to get her attention, but they are her favorite toys, so she's not always into wanting to give them up. So you need to trade her something else, food, things like that. But it's also a great way to get her some exercise and to give her that kind of, introduce her to new things. That's how we introduced her to the pool. She wanted the ball, she went in the pool, and then she was like, oh, I like this. And then she plays with the ball in the pool. So it's definitely an interesting thing that a dog this small will be this excited about tennis balls. But it's something that makes her fun and unique. And hopefully, if you're looking for that dog that's going to want to play fetch in the backyard with you and hang out, and especially if you have restrictions on the size of dog or the breed of dog you can have, you can get that vibe in a much smaller package with Beverly. And because she is an older dog at 8 to 10 years old, she does get that discount in her adoption fee. So if you're interested in Beverly and all of the fun and excitement that she's gonna bring to your household, the first step is gonna be going to visit fcac.as.me. Our next dog, a little bit bigger, or a lot bigger than our last guest, but just as friendly though. This is Cheech, and he is our 1-year-old Shepherd mix, and he is definitely a very friendly, confident dog. He is known for being mellow and laid back, which is unusual for his breed. He's been showing, he's been jumping up a little bit, but in an affectionate way, not in like an obnoxious way. He's like, actually, I think I should be a lap dog for right now. He really loves attention. And much like Beverly, he was recently neutered, so he can't really get in, but we've discovered that he does enjoy like the pools. So he wants to stick his head in there. He's curious about those things. So, he's looking forward to the next couple of days when he can actually get in to the pool and not have to worry about getting his incision and his sutures wet. He doesn't seem to have any issues with the other dogs. He reacts favorably to them. He's easy to walk, which is also unusual for most of the shepherds that we get here in our facility. Not pulling or anything like that. Really kind of enjoys the petting and the affection, leans into that type of stuff. But wasn't really interested in any toys. So that's something that, as an owner's taking him on, they might start to discover what his favorite toys are and his favorite play style.
So sometimes there's something in a name when we name a dog.
Yes.
What's Cheech's story?
So Cheech came in, and yes, we've been saying he's mellow, but when he first came in, he was a little too mellow, a little too laid back, sleeping a lot, kind of very lethargic, so we did, have many vets looking at him, things like that. And it was not just the first day he came in, but subsequent days that Cheech was super, super mellow. The running theory right now is that he got into some sort of sedating substance, whether it was a medication like gabapentin, that is something that, people give dogs for anxiety and things like that, and he just got too much, or some other type of CBD, cannabis type of substance. I think the vote that most of the staff are going on is maybe some gummies, is what people are thinking. So some of those things, we think he is a kind of a laid back guy, but some of those things might still be working their way through his system. So he might become a little bit more energetic as days go by. We've definitely seen an increase in his level of activity and energy. So just kind of keeping an eye on that. We are just monitoring him because there could be other medical reasons for that kind of lethargy and stuff like that. So we're keeping an eye on him, but he is now available for adoption, and he's going to make a great pet for the right family. But even though he is mellow, he is still a larger dog. You want to make sure that and a younger dog, you want to make sure you're providing him with those adequate good manners trainings and things like that so that he can be a canine good citizen. and not just relying on the fact that he's mellow to kind of get you through. Make sure that he does have those basics underfoot. If you are thinking that Cheech is going to be a great addition to your household, then you can go to visit fcac.as.me to start that process. Our next couple of dogs are not as confident as our first couple of guests. The first one we have here is Draco, and Draco is a beautiful dog. Like, he has great markings. He has that, standard bully breed block head, but he's just a really good looking dog. A lot of the pitbull type dogs, their coloring's a little different, and people often get those things confused. So he's like he's listed as blue fawn because it's not that dark kind of gray blue and tan, and so he's got a very distinctive color. He also kind of has that like Dracula look in the front of his face. He's just a really handsome guy, but again, nervous, definitely needs time to warm up. New places, fast movements, loud noises are all things that kind of make him feel a little bit uncomfortable. He was an animal that was surrendered to us by an owner. So we, not all owners fill out their profiles in depth, but this woman, for this guy did give us some kind of good information. They just weren't able to care for him any longer due to financial reasons. He did previously live with another dog, a female dog of similar breed. So he has been okay with other dogs in the home, but he was shy in the home. So it's not just a shelter thing. Like, he is a shy dog and will likely be shy unless somebody's doing a lot of socialization, counter conditioning with him. They say he doesn't like the bath at all. He's not a fan of the bath, which probably explains why he doesn't want to get in the pool with the other dogs. He does pull on leash, that his play style is kind of a run and chase thing, whether she's saying he likes to chase the kids and the other animals playfully, but we'll see. Is that true or not? We don't know. He's used to being in a crate and things like that. But definitely, saying he's wary of the things that we've noticed here in this environment. So that's something that a new owner is definitely going to want to be making preparations for, because the best indicator of an animal's behavior in a home is an animal's behavior in a home. Looking for the right adopter, probably one that's a little bit more dog savvy.
So you went over how he's really shy. Is there a certain type of person he seems to warm up to more quickly?
So our staff noted that he seems to do better with females, and a lot of dogs do. Sometimes men, they're a lot bigger, they have deeper voices, can be more intimidating. But I do think sometimes it's harder to get that true judgment here, just because the majority of our staff, I would say probably 80% of our staff, are women. So that's who these guys are around. Our supportive staff, women. In our kennel area, there's really only one male kennel tech. So that's who's giving them all of their love, attention, care, food. So they are going to be more comfortable around women here. But that's something that's important to note if you are an adopter and there are men in your household. He may take a little bit longer to warm up to them, and it might mean that you have to come in and do more than one visit. But if you're prepared to, help Draco build his confidence and become a little bit more outgoing, then the first step to doing that is going to be going to visit fcac.as.me to make that appointment. Our next dog is still a little bit shy, but a little bit older at 4 to 5 years old. This is Nola. She came to us as a stray, like many of our dogs do. So we're still kind of learning about her. And she is definitely a little bit shyer, but she does warm up with some time. Patience, getting nice and low for the animals is a big thing because you're becoming less intimidating. And treats are always a great way to win them over. And that's often how our staff does it, just walking by them regularly, giving them treats. I do it regularly, you do it regularly. With our kennel staff, they're giving them their actual meals every day. So food is a great way to kind of bridge that gap between, like, are you gonna hurt me, or are you friend or foe type of a deal. But with not every dog do you want to have like the handful of treats and have them coming right up to you, because some dogs, they want the food so badly that they come up close to you and then they're like, actually, now the food is gone and I'm scared. So sometimes, especially if you're, meeting dogs here at our facility and they seem a little bit nervous, it's actually better to throw the treat on the ground so that you're still giving them that treat, but they don't have to come beyond their level of comfort in terms of how close they are to you. So that's always a good tip to use with our dogs or with any dog that you're meeting. Nola is a little bit, again, cautious, obviously. So her feelings with other dogs tend to be good or cautious, depending on those types of things. But same thing with humans, friendly or cautious, just working on building those things. And while most of our dogs are difficult to walk because they pull, Nola's a little bit difficult to walk because she's lacking in that confidence and kind of lags behind. She's like, do I want to go up there or not? So again, treats are a good way to encourage them. You can toss them on the ground in front of you, or using good verbal happy talk to kind of encourage them forward is always a good idea. But she does enjoy affection and things like that. Just takes a little time to warm up.
So Nola has a quality that a lot of adopters look for. What is that quality?
She's a cuddle bug. Our staff found that if that you take some time in a quiet place with her, she gets comfortable with you. She's wanting to get close and cuddle, and she's kind of doing it a little bit right now. She's like, yeah, rubbing my chest is nice. I'm cool with this. Let me get closer. Kind of the dog that'll kind of put their chin up on your leg. And if you're willing to take the time to get to know the dog and have those kind of lower expectations that it does take time, she's going to reward you greatly with that. And if you have the time to devote to Nola and helping her build her confidence so that you can see that great, affectionate, cuddly side of her, the first step, as always, is going to visit fcac.as.me to book that appointment. Our last guest today is Scampy, and we put our dogs down as the basic mix, right? And so we have a lot of terrier mixes, and usually when people see that, they just assume pit bull type dog. Well, Scampy is also a terrier mix, so you definitely want to look at their pictures and come visit them, and don't just assume that because it says terrier that they're a pit bull type dog, because there are a variety of terrier mixes out there. So this guy came to us as a stray, and he is, again, one of those dogs that's a little bit shyer, but he's been warming up pretty nicely. He too is doing well with other dogs. So even though they're shy around humans, they've been reacting favorably to all the other dogs. And sometimes if you have a dog that's a little bit shyer and you pair them with a more confident dog, sometimes they're like, oh, this dog says it's okay, it must be okay. And it can kind of help build their confidence. But as is always the case, if you have an existing dog and you're looking at making one of ours part of your family as well, you do need to make sure that you're bringing them in, doing those dog meet and greets. We're not necessarily saying that it has to be perfect from the get-go, but it has to be something that all the parties feel is workable and is going to be safe for all the animals and the humans in the household. So as you can see, Scampy is very affectionate. He's crawling into Sean's lap right now. Another thing that people are really looking for in a dog. Oh, he's going in for the kiss. He's going in for that kiss. He doesn't have any issues with food aggression. Wasn't really interested in toys. And he's another one of those dogs like Nola who can be a little bit more challenging to walk, not because he's pulling, but because he's lagging behind. So using those treats as a way to entice him to move forward, or that happy talk, is always a good thing. Because a lot of these dogs that we've had on the show today are a little bit shyer, they do have restrictions in terms of the types of children they can live with. A lot of, I think, Draco definitely had like teens only, but with Scampy here, we're looking for just no small children. And generally when we say small children, we're looking at kids that are like 6 and under.
So currently we test dogs for heartworm, but Scampy received the full SNAP panel test. So why did he receive that? So unfortunately, Scampy was a dog that was trapped. And when he came in, you might be noticing when you're petting him, he's a little scabby. That's because he was covered in ticks. So we wanted to make sure that he didn't have any of those illnesses that come from ticks, because
of how infested he was. So that just goes to speak to, when you're taking your dogs out, making sure that you are checking them for ticks, especially when they have longer hair. It might be easier to hide places, check their ears, between their toes. Some people have even told me that because their dogs are sniffing in open mouth, they were in the dog's mouth. So there's lots of places you might want to check, but also keeping them current on all of those preventatives. You want to keep them on flea and tick preventative, heartworm preventative is really important. I keep preaching heartworm preventative even more because we have Rex in our facility and he's undergoing heartworm treatment and it's not been very fun for him. So just making sure that you're keeping him up to date on all of those things. And it's also important to do a retest in 6 months because all of those illnesses that we tested for have incubation periods. So if he was recently infected, the blood test wouldn't show those results until about 6 months later. So those are important things to note with Scampy, and our medical staff would be happy to talk to you if you had any more questions about that. But if you think he's a great dog and you like his Lady and the Tramp vibes, you want to make him part of your family, then you can go to visit fcac.as.me to start that process. We always mention that beyond what we have on the show, there's a variety of other animals, cats, dogs, small animals is bustling with activity back there right now. So if there's something that you're looking for and haven't seen it on our show, definitely make an appointment, stop in and visit, because you never know what you might find here at Animal Control.